Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Hard Wig, Soft Life, the podcast. I want to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Blackstock Footage. Blackstock Footage is a stock video platform and production agency that's all about real, intentional Black representation. If you're a creator or brand looking for visuals that actually reflect our people, our energy, and our stories, this is it. They've got a beautiful library of high quality clips, and they're building something that really centers us. Use my code SOFTLIFE10 for 10% off a year subscription. And big thanks to Blackstock Footage for supporting Hard Wig, Soft Life, and showing love to creators like me. Hey everyone, what's going on? It's your girl Melissa Atkinson, and today's episode of Hard Wig, Soft Life, the podcast, is super exciting because I am bringing someone from behind the camera to the forefront of the camera. Zebrina and I have been on this journey for a few months now where we're recording all of these episodes together, and I've gotten to know her not just as the co-founder of Blackstock Footage, and also not just as the woman that's filming everything, but as Zebrina the person. So I am introducing my friend Zebrina. How are you?
I'm phenomenal, especially being able to be here with you. So thank you.
It's lit. And I have to say this on camera. Your hair smells so good. It smells amazing. Please tell the girlies what you put in your curls.
So there's a local optician. Her name is Marlanda, and her business is called Marvelous Hair and Beauty. And she makes her own hair products. So I have her hibiscus spray on right now. And it just takes care of my hair in a way that no other product has done. And it's a local Black-owned business, so why not support?
We love local, we love Black owned, and we love when you can just under your hair and it's like,
exactly,
I'm transported to another world. Yeah. Girl, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. I actually felt very calm and grounded. Usually, like you said, I'm behind the lens, and so I can get used to being kind of behind the scenes. But this year is my year where I'm getting used to being more in front of the camera, and so I just appreciate being able to be here and like chat with you. And I feel like it's a beautiful way to wrap up the season 2, because we've gone through such a beautiful journey of filming all these beautiful podcast episodes together. So to be here now, it's like, ooh, I get to be on the hot.
I'm like, you get to be the superstar today. I'm actually really, really hyped about this because I'm like, I've known you for so many years. And I know I've said this before. I knew you and your husband, Imani, for a long time. But Imani's more extroverted than you are. And so it was easy to talk to him a lot more. So now I've gotten to know you, and I just want everybody else to get to know how funny, how sarcastic, how smart you are. So, how did you start camera work? Like, I know you're a creative, but how did you end up there?
Yeah, so it's funny that you asked because I actually started in writing. So as a child, I always loved writing in all forms, and I used to write short novels to myself, young adult books. Okay. And I always thought, okay, I'm gonna be a writer one day. And then back in middle school, I was in a summer program called Summer Bridge, and they had a career day where they had you fill out this form, and it says, what are your interests? And so I put writing and all that good stuff. And so they matched me with a journalist at Miami Herald. Okay. And so I got to see a day in the life of a journalist at the Miami Herald to just see what that life was like. And so I actually started that day, I was like, I want to be a journalist. And so from middle school into high school, my dream was always journalist. And I went to college. I went to Washington University, and I studied journalism there. And I loved it. And I realized that there was a lot of shifts in the industry that were happening that I was like, okay, writing is great, but I need to go into more multimedia journalism. So I need to learn photography, videography. And when I started learning that realm, more of the broadcast production side, I did internships at CBS News, the CBS This Morning show, at WFLA. So I was able to see kind of the different realms of journalism. And I realized by the end of my college time that I was I love journalism, but I think I want to lean more into communications and marketing, because that realm is more storytelling for the betterment of society. Journalism, I will always have a love for, but I realized that there's a lot of heavy news that go into journalism. And so I shifted into more photography and videography over the past 8 years of one, it started off more in the communications, and now I'm more in the realm of supporting women entrepreneurs and business owners with telling their stories. And so I just have a really strong passion within my own journey and my own healing journey of connecting with my voice and using art to be able to do that. And so I want to use my photography and videography skills to do the same for women. So whether it's like this podcast, helping to bring your vision to life in videography, there's women that I work with that I help them build their visual brands and just really help find out what their story is and what their why and what their voice is, and create content that showcases that for them. And yeah, that's kind of the route that I went through. And I will have to give a big shout out to my husband, Imani Lenz, because back when we've been together since high school. And so back in early college, he was actually the one where he was like, hey, here's a camera, test it out, experience what it's like to tell a story through photos and videos instead of just writing. And so that was my first like experience with photography in more of a professional realm. When I was a child, I'll take photos with like a little camera, but it was college where I was really able to start exploring what does it look like to be a photographer.
Do you think that being a woman in this industry, because I feel like, and I might be wrong, but I feel like it's a male-dominated industry, with men being behind the lens. Do you feel like you bring a different perspective because you're a woman, or even because you're an Afro-Latina woman at that? Like, what do you think?
That's a great question. So it definitely is a male-dominated industry, and I think that there's layers to it, because I know me as a woman, I had to kind of see my own worth in the industry and to see myself as someone who can aspire to that point of being a photographer and videographer or cinematographer.
I love that. I love that word. It's just so fancy to me.
I feel the same way. So it's just one of those things where I had to like kind of look in the mirror and see myself as that person who can do photography and videography. Because when you look at the industry, you don't see people who look like me. Not just as a woman, but like you said, a Black Latina woman. And so a big part of that, my journey has been learning how to see myself in my natural light, and step into that light and be comfortable with it and confident in doing it. And then I think also on the male dominated side is also learning that, they get to come to the industry from their perspective. And I get to come to the industry with like my own perspective, and knowing that I can serve the women who look like me or women who are in the same realm as me. So I love all things like holistic health and wellness. And so I realized that in many ways for me, it was very helpful to like niche down, because it helped me understand who am I serving and their reflection back to me.
Right.
And so I really appreciate the journey of getting into the industry. It's still a learning journey, because I'm like, just learning the equipment and learning like different lighting techniques. And my biggest mentor is definitely my husband, because he's been a videographer for like 10, 15 years. And so it's like just learning the craft and knowing that you get to bring your own perspective to the industry. And that's the beauty of it. It doesn't have to look the same as everyone else's. But now that you have the equipment and you have the expertise and experience, you can bring your own perspective into the storytelling. And that's where I bring like my passion into it, because like, oh, I get to tell a story that I haven't seen other people tell the story like this before. So yeah. And it's more like documentary style too, because I'm not really trying to like make somebody be something that they're not naturally. I like to help women be in their natural light and bring out that authentic side. And sometimes the best way to do that is just let them be themselves. And so I see myself starting to craft my part of the industry of how I want to contribute to the storytelling side of photography and videography. And it's definitely part of the self-discovery journey.
For sure. I think just like in these last few months, I understand what you're saying about like, okay, I'm learning like the equipment and it's a learning curve for sure. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. Like I get overwhelmed. I heard Imani talking, you guys talking about numbers, and I was like, what are we talking about? Like, so like those are things. It's kind of like when I worked in HR, and I used to always tell people, I can teach you the hard skills. I cannot teach you the soft skills. And so when I say hard skills, I mean like the technicality of a job. You can teach anyone that. The soft skills are that intuition, that insight that you have, the passion that you have for telling other women's stories. And I don't think I could have had a better partner for all of this, because I really am just myself. And I'm like, all right, Zebrina's here. And so working with Imani, and because, I mean, he's your spouse. And obviously I told you like, hey, he's more extroverted, like from the outside looking in. How have you been able to self-identify your own voice in your craft? And has it been a challenge?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think for me, there's a part where maybe this is around, I mean, we're husband and wife, yes.
Right.
And I think also there's like an element to our relationship where there's definitely the mentorship side where he's kind of teaching me the way of the industry, and him as a man in a male dominated industry.
Yeah.
I don't take that for granted because I know that a lot of women may not have that opportunity to have somebody fast track their knowledge, show them the equipment, show them the ways of the industry. And so I know that kind of like learning the foundation from like how he tells his stories has been a huge help because he's very cinematic in the way that he tells stories. And our storytelling is very aligned with one another because we're very big on social impact brands, showing like the mission behind the different businesses that we work with. When I was able to like hone in on like my own form of storytelling is when I did that self-reflection over the past few months of realizing, okay, I see where my journey has like gotten me to where I had to learn how to connect with my voice and heal my voice and connect with my story. And I'm like, I know other women who are on that same journey in their own realm of life, and that we're all trying to like figure out this life like, you know, that we have right now. So I was like, wait, but if I feel that way for my own self and art is helping me, I can use my art to help other women. And so it was this beautiful mix of like taking what I've learned from Imani and still learning from Imani, and then applying that to the type of people, specifically the type of woman that I want to work with. And I think that's where I was able to hone in a little bit more on that. And I think also one learning lesson I had throughout this process is realizing that we all have our own way of telling stories. And so for me, it's like I had to get out of the mindset of like comparing and seeing other people in the industry and being like, oh, I'm not there yet. I haven't like created that type of art yet. But then it's like when I look back and I see what I have created, it's like, wow, like the woman that I've been able to support, like, if you asked me this like 5 years ago, I don't know if I would have imagined myself in these shoes. And so it's cool because being able to learn from one another helps each of us kind of know what we do great as individuals.
Right.
And then we also have that great synergy as well, which really comes through in our company, Blackstock Footage.
I really admire it, right? Like you guys are another couple friend of mine that work together.
Yeah.
Yes, I have another friend in real estate, and they're a couple, and they also work together. And I think I admire couples who can work together very well and have that synergy and be able to say, okay, we have enough contrast where we're complementary to each other. You can do this, and I can handle this. And also work as a team, but not losing one another's voice. You know, Ryan is very particular, and so I tend to lose my voice with him. So if we worked in the same industry, I don't think that I'd be able to handle it. So I think it's dope.
And I'll also quickly add to that, Imani has always been a very big advocate of me using my voice, and he has helped me see my voice in ways that I honestly didn't, like, since high school. Like, he's seen my potential in ways that I didn't even see in my own self. And so it makes a difference to work with a spouse, with a partner, with a husband who sees you for who you are and who you have the potential to become without pushing you to become something that is within their own eyes. So It's like this fine balance of like seeing someone's potential, helping them reach that, but also like he gives me the space to like kind of explore and see what realm of Zebrina do I want to become. And so I think there's definitely a balance, because that's what helps you connect with your voice in a different way, because you have somebody who's supporting you and saying, yes, use your voice, especially since he's way more extroverted than I am. Just like that element of like, yeah, you got this, Zebrina, you like, go ahead. And so like even an opportunity like this, it helps to have somebody who's your cheerleader in the background who's saying you can do it even when the doubts are coming up. So yeah, it just makes a big difference to be able to work with your husband, because they're your biggest advocate and cheerleader for the scenes. And then when you're working in business, it's like we have each other's backs.
For sure. That was my next question. I was going to say, who were the people in your life who encouraged your voice creatively? So Imani, anyone else?
Yeah, I will definitely say my mom has been someone who, like, we've had a growing relationship over my whole entire life. But she has been someone who I've seen grow in ways over especially the past 10 years, that it's really inspiring to me, because she's been very open to becoming a better version of herself. And through that, like, she's also been reflecting that back to me and constantly, like, just giving me that that encouragement. So she'll send those little texts to say, oh, you're doing such an amazing job. I'm so proud of you. Or like if I'm having the day where I'm like not feeling 100%, she'll be like, hey, it's okay. Like you're doing phenomenal. Just take some time to rest and then you'll get back into it. So it's like through our journey of like healing our mother-daughter relationship.
Right.
I feel like the past few years, her and even my sister have been really big advocates in helping me connect with my voice. And then also my mother-in-law, so Imani's mom, her name is Colleen, or Rose. And so she has been a huge part of my healing journey as well, because she's someone that is very expressive with her voice. She knows how to use her voice in many beautiful ways. And so she has helped me see, like, as a woman, it's okay to share your voice, and that there's a way that you do it where you still infuse the love and the nurturing and the kindness into it, but then also you know how to stand up for yourself if, you know, when the time, when you need to.
I'm living for this like community of strong women that you have around you that are kind of just like empowering you and being like, go Zebrina.
You need it. Sometimes, like, you know, life can light sometimes. Like, so sometimes you just need that external reminder that, you know, you're doing okay and you're growing and you're having a positive impact, and it just helps you kind of like get outside your head for a little bit.
If nobody told you today, I'm going to tell you, you're kicking ass and taking names out here. So. I appreciate it. You know, I'm not going to say, oh, pretty and polished like everybody else, but
I love it. It's the Melissa treatment.
It is the Melissa treatment. Yeah. So with you and Imani working together, how did you guys even decide to build something professionally outside of your personal life?
Yeah. So again, we've been together for 13 years, so since high school. And in high school, like, we started dating our senior year. And it was probably like senior year into freshman year, Imani had a business that he was starting at that time called Progressively Getting Better.
Okay.
And that was a motivational apparel line. And so he brought me on board all the way back then when we were 18 years old and saying like, hey, I just started this LLC. You want to help me? Like,
I've been entrepreneurs. Like,
well, he introduced me to the world of entrepreneurship. Like, I was in the realm where corporate life was the main thing that I had, I guess, known through society, because I grew up in a low income household and my mom was unemployed for many, many years. So I never really saw like what it looked like to build a business or work corporate.
Right.
So all you ever see on like TV shows and movies is like, oh, you go to college, you get a job, and you grow in that job, ideally.
Right.
So when he introduced me to entrepreneurship and the idea of like, oh, you can create your own business, you can create your own life that isn't centered on somebody else, like building somebody else's dream. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that that's something that I never really thought of it for myself as an 18-year-old. And so that was our first introduction of doing business together, of like figuring out, okay, how do we market this? How do we create content around it? How do we build the systems? How do we get the manufacturers in order to like print the wallets? Or we ended up just like printing them ourselves. So we had to learn how to use.
You guys learn how to print by.
Yeah, that's a lot of hard work. It is a lot of hard work.
Yes.
But it was like those little moments that taught us a lot about entrepreneurship so early on, like the teamwork, the communication, the strategy. And you know, we were very young then. So we, like, looking back, it's like, it's so like innocent to know like, oh, we were like trying to build a business back then. We were able to do a lot throughout that time. And it was such a big part of like that college career of me getting comfortable putting myself out there and talking to my friends up in Virginia, because he was in Tampa, I was in Virginia.
Right.
And I would tell my friends, oh yeah, we're starting this business, and we're having a pre-order campaign if you want to buy a shirt. And it was just like, looking back, I see how those first few moments of entrepreneurship made a difference to the mindset now to understand what it takes to build a business.
It sounds like you really set the foundation in your teens to be the woman that you are now. And it's crazy to think, and you reflect, right? And you're like, oh, I didn't know that doing this that I really thought nothing of at that time was going to be so important later on. Yeah. And so what's something that you've learned like about your relationship through working together that you may otherwise have not discovered?
I think working together has definitely brought out sides of ourselves that has been very helpful, because it's helped us see where we both have our strengths and where we both can support each other's strengths through our own.
Right.
So like for me, I'm a very detail-oriented person.
Yes.
So I can be very, very like, I pick up on the little things, and you know, you have to be mindful of it not becoming perfectionism. but I like to look at things and make sure that there's quality there.
Right.
Imani's strength is like big picture. He can see the vision. And then sometimes I'm like, we got to look at those details. But for him, it's like big vision, and he can like, let's take action. And for me, I'm like, okay, let's make sure that we're doing it the right way. Let's make sure
You're so Ryan. So for those of y'all out there, Zebrina and I talk a lot about our spouses and our relationships and our personalities. Yeah. And Zebrina is very detail oriented. Yeah. Zebrina and Imani have both explained things to me, the same thing in very different ways. But Zebrina is very similar to my husband, Ryan. And so Ryan is a very detailed person, and I'm a very, let's get up and go. So no, that's...
And we're both Aquarius too.
Yes, tip Aquarius. Your birthday is January or February?
January. 27.
I don't know what it is, but yes, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, you're good. It's a good point, because I think that's something in relationships that I understand that some people say, oh, I can never work with my husband. For me, it's like, I'd rather work with my husband because I know that I have somebody who always has my back. I don't have to, when you're working with like coworkers and stuff, you never know what their intentions are. And to go into business, like, it's not just starting a business. Like, you all are, like, if we weren't husband and wife, it's us saying we're building this business together. We're putting both of our finances into this. We're both taking a risk. We're both taking an investment. And you have to trust the person that you're doing that with.
Right.
Who better to trust than the person that I'm married to?
Right.
So I'm very thankful that I get to build this life with my husband, because I know that we both want the best for one another and we're better together. And because we have our own strengths that complement each other's like areas of opportunity instead of weaknesses, it really helps because we have our own team,
right,
to build our own business. So it's not just two people working on our business. The way we work, it's like 5 people working on our business together. But I will definitely say if there's one like thing that we've learned throughout this, talking about relationship wise, is like learning how do you balance the work side of your relationship, because it's easy to like wake up and go to sleep talking about work, right? Talking about it all throughout the day, because there's one side of seeing it as work. It's another side of saying, oh, we're building our dreams, we're building our vision. So there's like that element, and then being really intentional about having that quality time with one another. We call it intentional experiences, of just having that intentional time with one another where we're present. It's not work per se. It's like, okay, we're here with each other. We're continuing to build and nurture the other parts of our relationship as well.
I like that you guys call it intentional experiences. Yeah. It just sounds, it's like the word cinematography, like how we said earlier. It just sounds so official, because quality time sounds there. Quality time. So no, I think that that's lovely. And like I said, I have other friends who are in relationships who work together. Yeah. And I've always wondered about that. I'm like, damn, like y'all be in the office together. Y'all go home, drive and talk about what happened in the office. Yeah. It's challenging, I'm sure, but I think you guys do it very beautifully. You're very welcome. And so,
I have an eyelash on my eye.
Do you? Okay, cool. I wanted it not cool. I wanted. I was gonna take a look at Mike. I'm like, oh, it's a time for a pause. I'm sorry.
You're good. I understand the Melissa thinking process. Yeah. Now I'm with her.
Where I'm like having a conversation with myself, but with you. That is insane. Whether no, it's if no one should be good at having a conversation with themselves and then with the person in the back with themselves, like that, it is nuts. So I know that you like journalism a lot, that it was like your initial dream, to be a writer and then to be a journalist. And then it's been progressive. And now we're, here where we're a cinematographer. Yeah. Are there any specific works in all of those mediums that have inspired you greatly?
So I will say the one that really inspires me, not just for like today, but knowing the grand scheme of things, like seeing the big vision, seeing the big picture, is Blackstock Footage. Okay. So Imani and I started a company called Blackstock Footage. So it's a stock video platform and video production agency that celebrates and preserves Black cultures, Black narratives, Black stories.
Shout out to our sponsors, yeah.
We're very proud to sponsor Hard Wig Soft Life. But it's one of those things where I know for me as a child, So I grew up in Miami, in Little Havana. And so I was very much around the Latin community. And even being around that, sometimes I would or wouldn't see people who look like me.
Right.
And I always knew my mom is Puerto Rican with African and Taino lineage. And then my dad is African American and Bahamian.
Okay.
So as a child, I always knew I'm Black. There was no question about it. When you write, when you were a child and you had to put your race and ethnicity, I'd put Black and Hispanic. And so, like, for me, being Black and being Latina has been a big part of my identity growing up. And so with that, it's like, I remember growing up not seeing many people who look like me, specifically women. And when Imani came up with the idea for Blackstock Footage back in 2020, essentially during all the social injustices that were happening that summer of 2020, he had clients who were asking him, hey, can you include stock videos of diversity, essentially saying Black people?
Right.
And there was one client who had asked for a stock video of a Black person riding a horse on the beach. And he was looking, and he couldn't find it on any of the existing platforms. And then one day he came to me, he's like, Zebrina, I don't see anything that has like the stock photos that focus on Black representation, but I haven't found any stock video platforms that focus on Black representation. He's like, I have this idea, Blackstock Footage is available, like, you want to build this together? I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it. And I think it's one of those things where I got to really see how you can use videography or use art in order to tell stories that are untold or may not be as like the focus of media right now. And so to be able to know that I have a hand in making history, because I'm not just seeing like what we're doing right now just as like a company right now. I'm thinking of this like 100, 200, 300 years from now. This is going to be like a narrative, like historian type of company where you're able to see Black culture in today's day and age because it's constantly shifting. So I think for me, like looking at that bigger picture, it helps me be inspired to know, like when I'm in my 60s, 70s, like some of the guests that we were talking to, it was like knowing that right now I'm in my 30s, but there's so much that's going to happen in my 40s and my 50s and 60s. And to know that we're building a business that's so heart-driven and so social impact focused is very inspiring because like I know that I'm putting my art forward to make a difference. And so like this year, a big goal of mine has been, because I'm very passionate about health and wellness and woman empowerment, so utilizing our platform to work with Black women to capture content showcasing us in our natural light. So I'm working with an herbalist, capturing her in her garden as a Black Latina, doing the beautiful work that she's doing, or just being able to like capture content of women or people in general and showing that our Black representation, showing our Black culture and what that looks like in different industries. And yeah, it's just one of those things that's very inspiring to me to know that I'm helping women tell their stories through Blackstock Footage and through those collaborations. And then two, we're helping to build a library where now anyone can go on and download stock videos of Black people that's actually authentic, that shows a real chef, shows a real scuba diver, like
a real Black cowboy.
Black cowboy. Yeah, because it's like, where else do you find that? And it's not just somebody who's a model who's acting like they know how to do it. It's like someone who's actually living that life, and you get to see a peek into what their life looks like as a Black person in industry that you may never have thought to think that someone's in that space.
That's sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm really inspired by right now.
Okay, I like that. Like, so we're inspired by the work that we do. We all out here doing the Lord's work, by the way. Like, so I wanted to know, I know you mentioned a lot of like holistic and like medical, like not medical, but like holistic ways of life. And so, first of all, I know this is probably a very dumb question, but I'm going to ask it because I don't care. No, there is a such thing as dumb questions because people have asked it. New for life. But I'm going to tell you this. People ask dumb questions, but this might be one of those. But, so an herbalist, what does an herbalist do? Like, what is...
That's a really great question. So it depends on what herbalist you're talking about, because that's something that I'm learning about through like a friend, client, and mentor. Her name is Leonie Powers. She's the founder of Modern Herbal Apothecary.
Okay.
And I've helped photograph her cookbook. I designed her cookbook, which is
Nice.
out and available for people to purchase. It's a cookbook that's centered around postpartum recipes for using different traditional herbalism methods, so African, Latin, indigenous, Caribbean traditional herbalism.
Okay.
But one thing I'm learning is that herbalism can look in so many different ways. And it's very dependent on like the culture you're coming from too. So there's what's a little bit more common, I guess, in like US is more of the European type of style. But what I'm really interested in is more of that traditional herbalism from the Caribbean, from African, from Taino, from Latin. And so each culture approaches it in different ways, but there's a lot of synergy. So essentially using herbs, plants, the nature's medicine in order to help heal people. Some people do it through herbalism for postpartum or for pregnancy, where saying like, hey, these herbs will help you dilate better. These herbs will help the uterus tone better. Like there's that realm of more of like the woman work, which is what I'm really interested in. But then there's also people who do more spiritual herbalism. And so using different herbs to help heal your spirit, whether you've gone through a lot of trauma or you are healing from different difficult challenges that you had growing up, or some people who are mute using different herbs that can help activate that throat chakra, activate your voice again.
Okay.
So I think there's some really cool ways in the herbalism field that depending on what your passion is, that's what you can bring to the table. There's the people who are the medicine workers in the communities, who are the ones who in other countries, they may not have access to doctors. And so they utilize herbalism to help support the people of the community who may not have access to doctors like that. And when you like look back, even within like Black culture, like I'm still learning this realm, but one thing that I'm really fascinated by is that when we as Black people didn't have access to the same resources that other people had, 100, 200, 300, 400 years ago, we had to learn how to use what we had access to, which was the land, in order to heal ourselves.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot to be said about how to use nature's natural medicine rather than, it's great. I still see the value in today's like modern medicine. Because some things, it gets to the point where you need something that's going to intervene. But if you can be more proactive and use something regularly in your life, something as simple as turmeric, ginger, things that are regularly available to you in a grocery store. Or you can go the route like working with an herbalist, and they can find you specific herbs that kind of help any ailments or symptoms that you might be feeling. It helps you get ahead of something that could become a disease if you don't, take care of it.
Right.
Or you take care of it nice and early, and now your body is at ease.
Right.
And so for me, a little bit of backstory, the reason why I'm so interested in holistic.
That was my next question. Zebrina, the mind reader. Right.
The reason why I'm interested in holistic health and wellness is because back in 2019, I was diagnosed with endometriosis. And so endometriosis is
I was just about to ask.
How do I know?
So one of my friends has endometriosis.
Oh, really?
Someone else that I know recently got diagnosed with endometriosis. Oh, wow. She's also an Afro-Latina too. She's half Puerto Rican, half Black. Wow. And so my heart goes out to all this. My heart goes out to you. Thanks. But yeah, like you got herbalists, you got everybody on call. What do you?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So back in 2019, I was diagnosed with endometriosis. And so if you look it up, the technical definition is that it's a disease that happens within your womb where the lining that you would normally get from a cycle or your menstrual cycle is found in other parts of your body. That's more of the general term. Okay. Depending on who you're looking or who you're talking to, an herbalist or a acupuncturist may say that it's a imbalance in your body, where there might not be as much blood flow, or there's inflammation in your body that's causing inflammation in other parts. So essentially, that's one side. And then if you're looking more at the spiritual, which is kind of where I looked at it from, is that as a woman, when you're experiencing trauma or when you're experiencing, just moments that really test you, that shows up in the spirit realm as well. It's not just a physical. Before it becomes physical,
Right.
it happened in the spiritual realm, emotional, mental.
Okay.
And so when I was diagnosed in 2019, funny enough, on my birthday, and the way my gynecologist told me was like, she said, she made it seem like it was like a cancer diagnosis. And
That's what
never
I thought it was. I thought endometriosis was cancer.
Yeah. The way they talk about it, it makes you feel like that. And the way she explained it to me was like, your only options are to get a hysterectomy, get a surgery, get pregnant, or go on birth control. I'm like, I don't want to do any of those things. So let me test out the holistic realm first,
Right.
before I do all these changes to my body that I don't know what it's going to cause further in the future.
I think that's crazy. Like, so getting a hysterectomy and getting pregnant are like on so far like sides of the spectrum. How did she even come to this I don't understand. Like, so get pregnant because you're never going to be able to get pregnant again?
Yeah, so there's not a lot of research on endometriosis. So in some ways, and it's funny because I no shade at all to this gynecologist, because I know that she was working in the realm of what she knew.
Right.
But within the industry, there's since there's limited research, there's not, in their mind, it's like once you have it, you'll always have it, and you're always going to be in pain. And even with a hysterectomy, you can always continue growing. So there's a whole nother conversation to that. But for me, I chose the holistic route, and I gave myself like a year where I was like, hey, I'm going to just see where I'm at. So essentially in January 2019, I had a cyst that was the size of a lime.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm aware that I'm where I'm at. And I let her know, hey, I would love to explore some other routes before I go and do these things that are not really getting to the root issue. So I went to like an acupuncturist. I went to a Mayan massage, like womb massage therapy. I did like so many different modalities. I did like the yoni steaming. Like I did multiple.
I heard those are nice.
Those are nice. Okay. It's like you get like the facial steaming, but it feels even like it's
okay.
It's a cool experience.
I gotta do one. And then
I know a lady who.
You know a lady for everything.
So if you're ever looking for one, great experience.
Okay.
But essentially, I tried. I really tried to I changed my diet. I used to eat like cheese. I did like a food sensitivity test to see maybe it was like food that was causing inflammation. And it was a beautiful journey in the sense of I was able to test out all these different healing modalities and work with different healers to understand what's going on with my body.
Right.
And the root that they helped me get to, like I worked with a master herbalist and chi worker who understands how like chi is like the energy of your body, and understanding how do you move the energy throughout your body, just help things move better.
Okay.
So essentially, like for me, a big part of it was like blood flow. Like there's not enough blood flow, and with that, it's causing inflammation. Just kind of making a long story short.
No, for sure.
And so it was a great journey in the sense of being able to connect to my body in new ways. But unfortunately, throughout that time, the cysts got bigger. So it went from the size of the lime, and then 9 months later, it was the size of like a grapefruit. And so, yeah, it was at the point, like, I lost, like, 40 pounds.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you could physically see the cysts, like, bulging from my stomach slightly. And it was when it was at that point, and I went to, like, that last gynecologist appointment, and she was like, hey, you can continue doing what you're doing, but if this bursts, it's going to cause a whole nother realm of issues that if you're trying to get pregnant in the future, you don't want to have to really go that route. And so at that point, I was like talking to Imani, getting his advice. I was talking to my support system, of course, my mom, Imani's mom, and my mom was actually able to find a surgeon who's a specialist in endometriosis. There's less than 100 in this world. That's crazy. Yeah, at least in 2019. I don't know if it's changed since then, but there's one specialist, Dr. McHale. Shout out to Dr. McHale at Tampa General Hospital. My mom found him online and was like, hey, he specializes in this, because with endometriosis, you can go the gynecologist route and get a specific type of surgery that is more, if I had to give a metaphor, it's kind of like if you're in the garden and you see the weeds growing and you just cut the weeds, like you just cut them, but the root is still there.
Right.
That's one form of endometriosis surgery. And I was like, I don't want to do that because the chances of it growing back is very strong because the root is still there.
Correct.
Versus working with someone who does an excision surgery. So they go in and they cut around the weed, around the root, and remove it so that it reduces the chance of it growing back. And that's what Dr. McHale specializes in. And so thankfully I was working a job at that time that I had really, really good health insurance, and I was able to get that surgery in September. I did choose to get the surgery because I was at the point where I was like, my quality of life was just,
No, for sure. I mean,
like, every day I was level 8 pain every day. And
it's not life.
long cycles, like 2 to 3 weeks long. It'd be like a week off, and then period starts to do. So it was my 2019 was like my metamorphosis year, where it really made me like go into those like the depths of myself to understand what I needed to heal. And one of the things that I was going to mention is that on the spiritual aspect is that as a woman, when you go through trauma in different ways, it can affect your body. And I think for me, like, there was no coincidence in what was happening with my womb at that time, because it was back in college, I was sexually assaulted 2 times on 2 separate occasions, 2 separate years, 2 separate people. And that whole experience taught me a lot about connecting with my voice and healing myself. And once I was given that diagnosis with endometriosis, I understood that that trauma that I had experienced was showcasing itself as an imbalance in my womb. And so when I took the time to really like listen to what my body needed and listen to what my womb was trying to tell me, I realized that I needed to like do some really deep healing on a spiritual, emotional, mental, and then physical level.
Right.
So by the time I got the surgery, it was at the point where I was like, okay, physically, I need to literally just get this out, get the cyst out, see what's going on. And thankfully, like, I did the surgery. Literally, the moment I woke up, I didn't feel any pain. Like, what I felt like after surgery felt way better than what I felt like before surgery. And essentially, they found that, like, my right fallopian tube at that time, I'm claiming that it's healing, and I don't want to like claim the diagnosis as mine, because I know that my body is forever shifting and forever growing, and that I can heal through what they diagnosed me at that time.
Okay.
But essentially, blocked fallopian tube on the right side, and then left side is partially blocked. But thankfully, the endometriosis was only found on that cyst. Okay. So, because for some women, they have it in their toilet, and that spreads. And so, for me to only have it in one spot, I feel like all the holistic work that I did helped prevent it from growing and expanding to other parts of my body, because that would be a whole nother story. So yeah, I think a big part of my healing journey, of me like healing as an artist and connecting to my voice, 2019 is what really put that into gear, into a whole nother level.
Right.
But really since college, like ever since the sexual assaults and being able to understand that like I have a voice and I can share that voice and no one can silence it. It was a big part of being able to be where I am now. And so, yeah.
I'm very sorry to hear that you went through that. I appreciate that you shared that story, because it's not an easy one to share. I think that you are a living, a lot of the times people say, oh, stress is the #1 killer. And people say it's a very serious thing. Even myself, I've said it very lightly before, like, maybe stress is a killer. And you're a living testament to like, no, like that literally, not saying like, oh, you could die, but we don't know what would right. Like stress, it manifested itself in you, and you went through something very traumatic. So to see you here on the other side is like, it's the most beautiful like experience. Yeah, no, you're welcome. It's unfortunate that something heavy has to happen to us sometimes for us to realize like, okay, we have a voice. But the good thing is that you realize you have a voice and you're using it. Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I think it's cool because at the end of so 2019, January to September is when, I was on my healing journey, and then got the surgery. And while I was in recovery, one of my dear friends from college, her name is Faith, she was hosting or creating a art exhibit for the Me Too movement out in Long Beach, California. And at that time, she didn't know my story, but she was telling me like all about like the exhibit that she was creating for women to be able to share their stories from like the Me Too perspective. And I was like, hey, Faith, I actually went through something similar, and I told her the story, and she's like, what? And at this time, I didn't see myself as an artist per se in the literal sense of like creating art. But she was like, hey, I'm doing this art exhibit. Like, do you want to like be a part of it? I'm like, I'd never created something for an art exhibit before, but like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And that was my first time really stepping into my light as an artist. And I created this piece where there was 2 wombs. So imagine like how do you say anatomical?
Anatomical, yeah.
Yeah. An anatomical representation of our uteruses. And I created one where it was like me pre-healing. And so it was like muckier colors. It was like I included like words in it and like the names of the people who did what they did to me, and just really showing what an unhealed wound looks like. And then the second one is showing like a radiant pink, like happy healed womb, showing, and it had like the names of like all the positive like affirmations to myself.
Right.
So that whole experience of creating that was like, as I was literally still healing from the surgery, I'm literally creating a sculpture, an art piece that shows the representation of me from an unhealed wound to a healed wound. And that really helped me see myself as an artist in a whole new way, and using art to be able to help me heal, but also show other women how they can heal themselves too. So it's like, it's really cool because art has been such a big part of my journey of healing. And now I've become more of a painter as well. And so the past few years, I've been exploring the realm of painting and using my artwork to inspire and uplift women's healing journey. So it's cool, like all the different realms of work that I do, whether it's photography, videography, painting, writing, it all adds to the same picture of like, how do you use art to heal?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure. It's refreshing to hear you say that because, you know, I often say my podcast is my heart on a mic, you know, or it's like a reflection of self. Kind of like at the start of the season when I was like, oh, I didn't used to delegate. Like that is a mirror to life. And so I think, I don't ever think that I thought about it like that until recently myself, that like your creativity, or your artistry, it literally is the mirror to your life. And you've said it a lot better than when I could put it together. We went, what? But I can appreciate that. It's very validating. So you mentioned like positive affirmations. Are there some like positive affirmations, like specifically that you use to get yourself out of like a rut, like when you're not feeling it?
Yeah, I love that. So I think for me, depending on what that rut may be, but one of the things that I tell myself, talking about herbalism, if you're ever curious, there's a thing called flower essence, which essentially is where you pull, as an herbalist, you pull the like, how do you say this? So, you know, when like in the morning time, when there's dew on the plants, you're able to pull, that's like the highest concentration of the flower, to be able to pull from in the morning time. So essentially like you can pull the essence of that flower, and different flowers have different meanings. And so there's one flower called a poppy flower that's very symbolic of like shining your light, using your voice. Like it's that flower in the middle of the field that's like standing tall and everyone can see it, and it's like bright and beautiful, but it's not taken away from the beauty of the other flowers. And so essentially you can use poppy flower essence in order to connect with your voice in a different way. And so the reason why I'm mentioning this is that whenever I might feel in a rut, I'll use that poppy flower essence, and it's homeopathic. There's no like, it's not like psychedelic or anything. Yeah, it's literally.
I was like, what were you feeling? LSD? Like,
no. It's like you taking what's like a tincture that you can take. It's like a tincture,
like an essential oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That you can actually ingest.
Okay.
Yeah. And so essentially, like I have this like experience that I create with myself to get back into flow. And I tell myself this simple statement: I'm creating with a clear mind and an open heart. Because sometimes I know for me, when I'm in that rut, it's because my mind is foggy. My mind is like all over the place. And my heart may just feel a little, you know, sensitive, or maybe like, you know, just, it's like reminding myself how safe. You can clear your mind. You can clear the fog and clear the clouds. And with your heart, you can open it back up again. You don't have to like close yourself off. And so when I tell myself that, it helps me get into like a flow state and remind myself it's okay. Like one step at a time. That's another one that I tell myself, one step at a time. You know, everything's going to be okay. Because sometimes, you know, you get into the existential thoughts.
Yes, it's existential AF over here. And your routine, your like positive affirmation routine sounds so much more peaceful than my own. I'm over here listening like, wow, like that sounds so calming. My affirmation is me being like, Melissa, you that bitch. You that girl, Melissa. But that's you worked up for the day. I'm like, I need some of that essence of poppy. Like,
yeah, I'll share more about it. And then one other thing is that as an artist, I've also created wellness art prints that showcase different positive affirmations or nurturing affirmations. And so I have that displayed throughout my house. And so whenever I need that nurturing reminder of like my strength and my ability to overcome challenges, I'll look at those paintings, or I'll have my lovely husband, when I'm in the thick of it, he'll be like, hey, you see that? You see it says, find your inner calm over there. Find your inner calm. I'd be like, yeah, you're right. So having those like physical reminders also is very helpful, because sometimes if you're so in your head, sometimes you need something that just like gets you out of your head.
For sure.
So it's been a process. I'm still learning. There's still days where I still have my yes, but it's one of those things where I give myself the patience and the grace to understand I'm having this human experience, and with that has its ebbs and flows, its valleys and its peaks, and just have patience with the process and enjoy. Like, we're meant to be human beings enjoying being on this beautiful planet Earth, and it should be all love. It should be all like, let's be high vibrations. And the more that we can embody that as individuals, we can bring that to the collective as well.
For sure. She said, I don't know if you've ever seen this video clip.
Which one?
It's there used to be this lady who was a life coach for people, and she was like probably the most low vibrational person ever in life. And so she had this event that she hosted, and she invited all these women. She made them pay thousands of dollars, I think, hundreds of, I don't know, like a lot of money to show up to this event. But the food was served on like paper plates, and it was like hot dogs and burgers. Oh my gosh. But it gets better. It gets better. There's a video clip of her telling someone else, she's like, you see your plate? It's a very low vibrational plate. You see me when I eat, I'm like feasting. And the only difference between their plates was the amount of food on the So it was a joke for a while. People would be like, that's a low vibrational plate. So when you said, I'm not sure what to you after this, but when you said high vibrational, I'm like, we shouldn't be in that way. But I immediately thought about that low vibrational.
We're not about that low vibrations.
Oh my goodness, girl, this is good. This is probably going to be my favorite episode.
I really enjoyed this.
I really enjoyed this
appreciate
too.
you.
I feel like we could go on more, and there's so much more I want to ask you. Like, not because I don't know, but because other people don't know. Yeah. But I do feel like we accomplished a good thing today.
I feel elevated from this experience. Like, I really appreciate you for using your platform to shine the light on me as well. I don't take that for granted. I very much appreciate it, and just being able to be here, I've gotten to know you. Yes. You're becoming a dear friend. You're hilarious, by the way. And even just through this, Dre, you taught me a lot about how to stand in your light, how to use your voice. And so when we're talking about someone who's like taught me about connecting with your voice in a new way, like you have, like the past 2 months of working with you has been a beautiful experience. Like, you have helped me believe in myself in new ways. And then you've also showed me through example of like what it looks like to live that soft life. And so thank you for that reminder it's okay to live that soft life. It's okay to like just chill, just like enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. And yeah, we may have had those hard challenges in our life, and yeah, maybe the wig might be hard, right? But the more that we can take care of ourselves and love ourselves, that's how we get into more of a soft life, which I think as women, it's like that's where we naturally want to be sometimes.
It is.
And I want to lean into that more. So thank you for leading by example and showing what it looks and feels like to do that, and creating a platform for us to share our stories with.
Girl, yeah, and thank you for nurturing me along the way, because I always say this: the safe space cannot be created. It's a synergy. It's hand in hand, right? Like, I can't feel safe and strong enough unless like my partner in crime is like, yeah, Melissa, like you got this. Like, and you also have taught me like, hey, let's mellow out. Let's relax. Let's focus. So this has been awesome. So Zebrina, thank you for joining me here on this side. It's been really nice. We're going to shout out to Imani for taking care of this episode today. And with that, I want to have you have the floor, to tell people where can they find you? Where can they find all the herbalist stuff? All the good stuff. Zebrina's got it. She's the plug. Zebrina, take it away.
Appreciate it. Hi, I'm Zebrina Lee. I'm so excited that I got to be on the Hard Wig Soft Life podcast with Melissa. And you can find me on social media at Art by Zebrina, which is my freelance business company that supports women entrepreneurs, healers, artists, in telling your stories in a visually beautiful way. And then as a co-founder of Blackstock Footage, you can find us on social media, Blackstock Footage. Or I definitely recommend you go to blackstockfootage.io, where you can search through our library of stock videos highlighting, celebrating, preserving Black cultures, Black representation, Black people. I think you'll really enjoy it. And I'm so thankful to be a sponsor of this beautiful season of the podcast. And yes, more to come soon.